Trust me, I know how it feels to deny the truth and hide from the world all too well. I was a closeted gay man without a single person I felt like I could be honest with for 25 years, and it nearly broke me. Every day that I denied my reality, I became increasingly lonely and depressed. It got so bad that my doctor put me on a powerful antidepressant called Celexa and told me to start seeing a shrink. Unfortunately, the medication didn't work, and I never really connected with my therapist. She did, however, make one astute observation. She said that I have the perfect blend of Catholic and Jewish guilt. The first is giving a blowjob and feeling bad over it, while the latter is giving a blowjob and worrying what your mother will think. Without medication or therapy, I found other ways to cope with my depression. I began doing stand-up comedy 6 nights a week, which was an easy way to avoid the dating scene. But when I moved to Manhattan after college in 2001, my shame reached its tipping point, and I developed a habit of downing bottles of cheap red wine alone in my apartment. To top it off, I also turned into a pothead. One day in early September, I was walking through the Upper East Side when I began to hallucinate. I thought the buildings on both sides of the street were shaking, swaying from side to side. It was like a scene from Christopher Nolan's psychological sci-fi movie Inception, or Woody Allen's Deconstructing Harry, in which Robin Williams is forever out of focus from the rest of the cast. This was the moment I knew I had to get a grip on reality. I was literally self-medicating to the point of delusion, and it scared me straight, pun intended. So later that day, I reached out to my good friend Mike, who was one of the first openly gay comics in the city. We knew each other from the stand-up circuit and often went for drinks. He had no idea what was coming that random Monday evening, but at the end of the night, as we parted ways in the Times Square subway station around 12:30 a.m., I came out for the very first time. Instantly, I felt a massive wave of relief crashing over me. The world seemed so much bigger, brighter, and bountiful as I walked home, and contrary to the warnings of televangelist Pat Robertson, I hadn't been struck by lightning. Instead, I felt buoyed by a huge rush of adrenaline. As I climbed into bed, the future seemed truly exciting. That night, I slept better than I had in years. But the next morning, I was jolted awake by a panicked call from my dad. He was clearly distressed, so I thought somebody had died until he told me that he'd just seen a plane hit the World Trade Center's South Tower. Apparently, a second plane had hit the North Tower just 18 minutes earlier. He could literally see the smoldering buildings from his office in the garment district of Midtown Manhattan. Shocked, I turned on the TV to CNN, and there it was. America was under attack. When I walked outside, I could taste the black, acrid smoke against the roar of police sirens. Hundreds of dazed and confused people had brought First Avenue to a standstill. Like them, I felt totally stunned by the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil, but I also felt a strange sense of guilt about it all. It sounds crazy and deeply self-absorbed to admit now, but as this ungodly horror was unfolding, I honestly thought it had something to do with my coming out. I'd released this awful secret into the world, and now the world had struck back. I was so twisted by the closet's solitary existence that I genuinely believed 9/11 was a consequence of my coming out just a few hours earlier. That's how fucking insane the closet makes you. It's a depressing, solitary place where there's only room for one. There's no light, no air, and no comfort. Just you and your private, dysfunctional thoughts stuck in a constant feedback loop from hell. It's a danger zone for your happiness, your relationships, and ultimately your identity, which is why it must be vacated early on. Otherwise, it produces a cycle of shame, deceit, and self-loathing that once started is hard to stop. You'll morph into a proficient liar. Your friends and relatives will never get to know the real you, and perhaps most tragic of all, you'll never truly know yourself. As if that isn't enough, staying closeted also changes your relationship with reality. That's because every time you're inauthentic with the universe, you're disrupting your experience of it. This sends truth into a state of flux, distorting everything around you. It's like an endless bad trip. Conversely, the more you operate truthfully, the more reality remains stable and order manifests itself in your life. Despite all this, the proverbial closet has never been busier. Good, decent people just like you are lining up to lock themselves away from the real world for a whole host of reasons.